Welcome, everybody, back to the Dave Knows Comics live stream, and today it's an episode of Critical Mass dedicated to a question that I've wanted to do for a very long time, and that's posing, should we forget the past when it comes to media? Now, if you'll excuse me, I am a little bit under the weather, don't know if you guys can hear it, but this is actually an episode I wanted to do for quite some time, and with The Rise of Skywalker, now don't worry, no spoilers, I haven't seen it, I don't know what happens to it, so you don't have to worry about that, but it's a question that I'm posing since The Rise of Skywalker is now out, and also on top of that, Life is Strange 2 has just wrapped up for you fans, and the Ghostbusters trailer is out there, so this is something that is out there in the world, and I thought now would be the best time to bring it up since there's so much stuff. Not a fan of the music? Alright, well, we can change that. That's the fun thing about the live format. We will take that down for you, trying something different. Okay, I'll turn it down. We'll see if that makes it better. If it does, and if not, we'll just get rid of it. But thank you for that feedback. Okay, so yes, thank you for letting me know about what you think. So, is that any better? Worse? Let me know. So here's how it works for this episode. In a lot of media now, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, comic book media, nerd media in general, all kinds of stuff, we've been seeing a lot of new reboots or sequels or continuations. A lot of franchises going around, Terminator, everything, a lot of stuff going out there, and it's continuing on from past genres, past films, past franchises, and all of it is being oversaturated with the way things are. And a lot of people have begun to notice this. And there's a bit of a pushback from it. Now, regardless of how you feel about that, there is some pushback towards it from a lot of fans saying that, hey, enough is enough, can we come up with something original? And the response to that, the pushback from that pushback, has been people in this media saying that you got to learn to forget the past. They've said it straight out in Skywalker, the Last Jedi, not Skywalker. Again, I haven't seen it yet, so don't worry. I'm not going to spoil anything. I have not seen it. I cannot spoil it for you because I did not watch it. All right, just let me take care of. So let me just take care of that out of the way. Hey, Marsh, right? Okay, so is the music better or worse? How you guys feeling on that? You want me to get rid of it altogether, or do you like it in the background? Just that little. Is it more subtle now? Is it any better? Let me know. And thank you for the thumbs up, by the way. So yeah, anyway, continuing on with the show, we've seen Kylo Ren straight up say, forget the past, move on. And now they conveniently put that in the story of The Last Jedi. Now, The Last Jedi, very polarizing film. Some people loved it, some people hate it. A lot of critics seem to love it, but then a lot of fans seem to hate it, saying that there's not enough fan service. They just got rid of all the plot threads that they promised from the previous film, and also destroying the legacy of Star Wars itself. So this is one of those things where the movie even recognized it was going to do this while they were making the movie. And that's why they specifically said, forget the past, or seemingly why they said, forget the past. And trying to tell you that the old movies are the old movies. Don't try to compare this to what this is. This is its own thing. You got to move on. You got to move on and stop trying to associate this franchise or what this could be, because it'll keep you from enjoying what it could possibly be. But this is not the only franchise to do this. No. In fact, if we remember, we have Ghostbusters, the new Ghostbusters, the film coming out next year, or soon to be this year. Let's just tuck away with the comments real quick before we get into the Ghostbusters aspect of it. Let's get into this real quick. Okay, Ben Espinosa says, hey, Dave, I'm okay with the music in the background. I don't mind it. Okay, True Sinister, what's worse, the reboots or sequels, is dumping on the existence of characters and a story. Yep, okay, yeah, let's talk about that. True Sinister brings up a point. The fan media, the fan base, is talking about how a lot of this is ruining a lot of pre-existing franchises, or it's taking a dump on the existence franchise, the essence of the characters. Things that we know and love is being destroyed. Now, that's the primary argument from a lot of fans. Okay, and as you remember, this is Critical Mass, the show that criticizes the critics. So we're looking at these criticisms, and we're going to be talking about them, and I'm going to be delivering my verdict at the end. So, peace to you, Muhammad. Thank you for being here. True Sinister says, Last Jedi didn't even follow up on The Force Awakens properly. That's right. Hey, but past is past. Even though that movie was only a couple of years prior, it was still the past. You have to move on to it. Some people would say, stop holding on to these fixed ideas that maybe Rey's parents had to be somebody important. Maybe they could be nobody. That was what one of the things that some people were saying. Now, whether or not that's right, we'll get to that later. Okay, Muhammad says, give your audience a raise, cheapskate. Give your audience, my audience, a raise. I don't know if you understand how employee works, but thank you. Muhammad also says, oh, peace to the True Sinister as well, and Doomsday Clock. Oh, great. Hey, yeah. You know what? I did not have anything planned for that, but yes. Also, Watchmen. Yeah, Watchmen is here. The current Watchmen media, the HBO show, some people love it. Some people, it seems like a lot of people love it. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I didn't hate it. I don't hate it or anything. I'm interested to a degree, but yeah, Doomsday Clock, the comic book. The comic book seems very, very important about telling you, hey, Watchmen is Watchmen, but that doesn't mean we can't continue on with these characters. Doesn't mean that we can't tell more stories. You just gotta say that the original Watchmen book is great for what it is, but we have something else. Now, again, I'm not delivering a verdict on this yet. I'm just explaining the argument. I'm just saying what people out there are saying about this particular argument. That the past is the past, and you're going to you're going to cheapen yourself and cut yourself short from liking things if you just hold on to this past idea. So that's Watchmen. Great example. Thank you for that. And once again, another benefit of this live format is that you guys can contribute. And yes, very good. So, True Sinister says Last Jedi is equivalent to Vince Russo becoming a head booker. Yikes. Now, for my personal feelings about The Last Jedi, I did a review on this channel when it came out. I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I like, I think Star Wars is cool. I like the franchise, but I'm not a super big Star Wars guy. And I do have some film critic tendencies, being in production, film production, working in film, and all those kinds of things in my background. I do understand those points too. So I'm kind of like in the middle of it. But at the same hand, I am like, I do have my nerd fandom side too. So I was kind of in the middle. So like, I didn't love it, I didn't hate it. I was just like, okay, I get why people are upset by certain things, but I don't care enough for it to really bother me. So I was kind of in the middle. So that's where I am. And if you saw that review, you would know what I thought about the movie. But yeah, let's keep going with the comments. Mohammed said he read the last issue. It was, and he's blanks out, but thank you for tying this into a comic book proper. Vinny Montaigne says, what up, Dave? I dig the background. Thank you very much. The old Critical Mass background. I love the Critical Mass criticizing critics before Sami Zayn did it. I do love the concept. It was the show on this channel I really like a lot. So it's the show that you're going to see the most, even with this live format. Okay, Mark Strike. Ever since the Feige cancel all the Netflix shows, the Feige, we're calling them the Feige now, Netflix shows, the MCU / the cool kids are pretending to dislike shows and saying the Netflix shows would have no effect if they were connected to the MCU. Interesting. Did the Netflix show count as the past? That's an interesting concept. Shall we forget that? Shall we move on from that? Is the Netflix show something else there? I've been lukewarm on the Netflix show. Parts of it I really enjoyed. Parts of it I didn't. But yeah. The thing is, most of it I felt ran its course. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything by not having continued. But I would love to see Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones in the MCU. I think she's great casting. Shane, I know it's not his name, John Bernthal, but as Punisher, I would love to see in that. But anyway, but let's move on. Let's move on. So True Sinister says they killed Snoke in anticlimactic rush way after building him up. Yes, but again, avert expectations. That's what some people are saying with the Star Wars. They didn't explain Rey's plan. Nope, there were a lot of balls they dropped, even from things that they established in the previous film or things that they warned you up. But that movie specifically specified to forget the past and move on from your preconceived notions of what a movie could be. But let's continue with, again, let's go back to the Ghostbusters thing. Because in a couple of years ago, there was a very controversial film, the Ghostbusters film with an all-female cast, that wanted you very specifically to know that just because they made this movie, it doesn't ruin your childhood. That's what they're saying. Not saying that's what I'm saying. It doesn't ruin your childhood, and that we're allowed to like something different. This is just different, and we don't have to compare it to. Again, move on from the past, forget the past. You're going to hear this theme a lot. But what's interesting about this film, as well as now The Rise of Skywalker, don't worry, let me remind you again, I haven't seen the movie, I'm not spoiling anything. But when it comes to the new Ghostbusters film, here we have the original Ecto-1, a callback to the original franchise. Details of we've seen the trailer's out there. We don't have all the details yet, but it's a harkening back to the original universe. Well, The 2016 film was supposed to be a separate universe, an alternate take, just Ghostbusters in name and name alone, and then just its own thing. Even had members of the cast playing different roles to say, this is a different thing. Going out of their way to say this is a different thing, and you can enjoy this without it affecting your love for the original. But then, after that colossal failure, we get this. We get a harkening back to the original, and they're trying to move on. So sometimes, while these franchises are telling us to move on, they give us a few mixed signals. And look, I haven't seen the movie. This is from the trailer. It's implied certain things about The Rise of Skywalker that they are tapping into the past again, even though Last Jedi was all about moving on from the past. There are certain things that they are mentioning from the past. So what is that about? Is that a mixed message? Do we have a problem with this where one minute they tell us to forget the past, but the next minute they bring it back up? What's going on here? Let's go back into the comments, see what's going on. Nathan Norman says, history is impossible to forget. It happened already. You can manipulate the aftermath, but once it happened, it's done. Very, very good point. Past is immutable. It happened. Whether or not you remember it is a different story. However, are we supposed to hold on to it, or is it supposed to affect our judgments for future projects or current projects? True Sinister says, Luke flat out used as a mouthpiece to destroy Jedi lore, like the time Sami Zayn was Vince McMahon's mouthpiece on screen. Wow! Tying both channels together. Okay. True Sinister said Halloween 3 was something different. We saw how that turned out. Oh, and yeah, while we're at it, let's talk about the Halloween franchise. How many films have there been just called Halloween? The original Halloween, then that reboot Halloween, then the new Halloween, which is back to a sequel to the original Halloween. There's a lot of times where films are conveniently taking their own past and retconning it. And while we're at this, let's remember Superman Returns. It was a reboot of just Superman 3. Superman 1 and 2 still happened, but we're changing Superman 3. So do we forget the past? Do reboots of sequels count? And is that something that's okay? All right, let's go on to my other point now. Minor spoilers for an old episode, episode 2 of Life is Strange 2. So if you haven't gotten to this, episode 1 of Life is Strange 2, so season 2. If you haven't gotten to that yet, I'm sorry. I think I'm in the clear for this. Minor spoilers for. It's not even a spoiler for the plot, but it's a minor spoiler for episode 5 of Life is Strange 2, the last episode. It doesn't have to do with the main plot. It's just. And I also feel weird about this because it depends on your choices, and I'm not going to say what happens to them, but there is a quick reference in Life is Strange 2 to some characters of the first game. That's all I'm going to say. You know what? I have a picture. I'm not even going to show it just in case of spoilers. I have a brief picture, but I'm not even going to show that picture just because I don't want to avoid spoilers, because I'm a big Life is Strange fan if you guys don't know that already. But Life is Strange 2 had a quick one. But I will show a screenshot from the first episode of Life is Strange 2, and that's this one here, where they're driving by the old town, the setting of Life is Strange 1. And this character right here, Brody, tells the main protagonist, Sean, that's in the past. He's pointing directly at the town and says, that's in the past, and you gotta move on. He's pointing directly at it, trying to tell you to enjoy this game. It's almost as if they're saying, in order to enjoy this game, forget the last game. Don't compare this to the last game. This is its own game. Forget the past. And he's pointing directly at, whoa, wrong picture. Pointing directly at the setting of the last game. It's amazing. And that's really what spawned this whole episode, is this whole show today. It's about how much media is blatantly telling you in their media to forget things of the past. Forget the previous franchise. I just think it's so weird that in the movie itself, in the game itself, in whatever it is, they're directly telling the audience, move on. A quick one is the Star Trek reboot, where Spock starts talking about whatever our past lives was, that's a different thing. Our lives, from this point on, are going to be completely different. We have no way of knowing it. And, so there's incontinuity in storylines telling you these things. Oh, it's a game? Never mind. Okay, never watched Life is Strange. Life is Strange is a video game. Yeah, I'm a big fan of both. I'm a big fan of the franchise. The past is a strong guide for the future. What they are proposing is that Bret Hart isn't a heart, and he's really... All right, interesting, Nathan Norman. Interesting analogy, but yeah, okay. Know where my wrestling fans are. And again, forgive me if I sound all congested and everything. I am getting over a cold. True Sisters said Highlander 2 was certainly something different. Hangover 3 was something different. Never saw either of those movies, actually. It's almost always a bad idea. True Sister, how about Joker? How about Joker? Now, Joker is very different from the other Joker films, but yeah, that's a good point. It is a very different film. Does that count? Here we go. Oh, True Sinister, big one. Do you know what happened when they took powers away from Wonder... I think you're ramping up to something, so I'll let you go with it, True Sinister. Yeah, they turned her into a Bond-like character. Oh, right. Yeah, but I was going to let you finish that, but okay. Joker is self-contained. Self-contained. Yeah. Yes. How are you feeling? Hope you... oh, well, thank you. Thank you for asking, Costa. Yeah, I'm better. According to Rian Johnson, Stalin subverted the expectations of... Wow. Okay, this is getting political. Wow, you guys have a lot to say about this issue. All right. Thank you for the thumbs up, by the way. Thank you for being here, all of you guys. So, yes, while we're continuing on the subject, so I'm about to give my actual verdict on this because I think the biggest piece, there is one major piece of the puzzle that I think ultimately answers this whole thing. Okay, but yeah, True Sisters says fans didn't like them taking away from what made Wonder Woman who she was. Yeah, and that's understandable. Fans do have, here's the setup. Fans do feel... so get your thoughts out before I give my verdict. I'm just gonna wrap things up a little bit. Before I get to the verdict, we try to act like it never happened. So, yeah, there is the two sides of looking at it, and I don't like polarizing things into one of two categories. But the major ideas are some people are saying the past is the past, and you're preventing yourself from liking something if you hold on too tightly to that thing from the past. It's great, and nothing will take that away, but you're holding on to it too tightly, and it's costing you from liking more stuff. Then there's the other side where and they also say that fans are a little too aggressive, a little too angry, and a little too quick-tempered. But then there's the other side that fans... All right, we're upset about something for a reason. If you've angered the fan base, there's a reason why they're angry. So, you can't sit there and tell them that they're wrong. It's like that for, the content from the other channel. There's a lot of people who provide entertainment or provide media, and when the masses don't take to it, they blame the masses and say, well, you're wrong for not liking, you're wrong for not investing in. And here's why you're wrong. It's because you're a bad fan, or you don't appreciate things. So which of these two is right? Well, there are other variables, of course, but those are the two major camps on this. But which of these two ideas is the correct one, or which is the one that I feel is the correct one? Well, there's one major faux pas here. There's one major thing that shows to me who is on the right side of what, and who's being a hypocrite in this whole situation, and that's where my verdict. Let's talk about Doomsday Clock, please. I'm kind of upset about it. ITV. Yeah, I didn't give it a chance, so I'm really not the best to talk about it. I don't like the premise of it. I kind of moved on from it. Imagine. Okay, so here's my verdict. Should we forget the past? Are we preventing ourselves from liking new things just because we hold on to the past too much? Are fans being too harsh? Or maybe are the fans right, and maybe it's the media that is wrong, and maybe fans are supposed to like what they like. My verdict is, no, we shouldn't forget the past, and here's the major reason why I delivered this verdict, is because you, the content providers, are telling us to forget the past, move on, forget this past franchise. Well, why don't you follow your own damn advice? Why don't you move on? Why don't you make something original? If you keep telling me, forget this old franchise, well, why do you keep milking it for all it's worth? If you want me to stop comparing the new Terminator movies, which are crap, to Terminator 2, well, why don't you move on from Terminator franchise and make a different movie? Maybe I wouldn't compare things to it if you would just move on. So I think it is hugely hypocritical that all these franchises are telling me to move on when you won't move on, when they won't move on. And the biggest reason they won't move on is because they want my money. It's a catch-22. You can't have it both ways, okay? All you guys out there trying to just collect my money, if I'm not going to give it to you, it's because you screwed up. Don't tell me I'm wrong for not giving you my money. I should just do it anyway. No. I'll give you my money when I feel like it because it's my money. If you want it, you better give me a reason to give it to you. So if you want to, and you can't have it, and my biggest problem here is you can't have it both ways. Right? If you want people's money because you're giving them more of a franchise, a pre-established franchise, because it has a built-in audience, then you have to understand there is responsibility for that built-in audience. If you want that built-in audience, you have certain obligations, certain requirements to live up to in order to please them. You can't sit there and expect them to come in with you as an already established franchise fan and then tell them, forget that franchise that brought you here in the first place. The reason you have them here is because they didn't forget the past. So don't tell them to forget it once you got them here, because then you're counterattacking your own setup, your own business model. You're just completely countering your own setup here. So that's stupid. So I'll tell you right now, next time any piece of media, video game, movie, TV show, comic book, whatever, tells you, forget the past, you're holding on to something, you tell them, why don't you forget the past and give me something original? And if you don't want to, then shut up when I keep comparing it to the thing that brought me here. That's what I say. Okay, let's catch up to the comments. Let's see what you guys have been saying so far here. The worst case scenario, she's censored, I won't mind that. Okay, let's see what gets me is that Rey never trained or anything, and she is perfect at anything, no struggle. Oh, Mary Sue. Last Jedi wasn't just different, wasn't just political, didn't just have an FU attitude, it just was not good. See? Okay, it would go from Wonder Woman to Ordinary Woman. Okay, you guys are still talking about the Wonder Woman and Star Wars. That's why I'm moving away from the Western TV shows and movies and enjoying anime. Well, not the biggest anime fan on that one, but I get you. But do what you got to do. In Star Wars, when Disney took over A to Z, A equals Z with no explanation. Oh, in Star Wars, A equals A. When Disney took over, A equals Z with no explanation. Well, Star Wars is something that's a side note, something that's always intrigued me about Star Wars and Star Trek. Well, I know it's huge nerd fodder. It's always had sloppy continuity. It's like not, continuity is like huge nerdy things. I've always thought that Star Wars and Star Trek were sloppy with continuity in the first place. I think people. So I won't even say that in Star Wars A equals A. I think A equals C. And now it's like A equals Z. I think that's more, for me, that's what I think is a more apt comparison. All right, she says, until The Force Awakens, Disney tried hard and succeeded at pleasing Star Wars fans. After the prequels being hated, some director jumped in and ruined all their momentum. Yeah, again, seeing that I'm not the big, like, I still like Star Wars, but I'm not the biggest Star Wars guy. I just kind of like, on the whole situation. But yeah, so that's ultimately my verdict. When it comes down to should we forget the past, it's like all you money-making movie franchises and video game manufacturers want you to forget the past, okay? All right, if that's the case, you move on. All right, you move on first, and then maybe we'll talk, but until then. And you know what? This goes into that wrestling content from the other channel, too, because everyone says, for us, forget about the attitude era, forget about the way things used to be, stop talking about this is the new, this is what's changing. Well, no, I ain't going to forget about it. I will continue comparing WWE to the way it used to be. And when it stops sucking, then I'll talk. Don't tell me to forget it, because the past is what brought me here. The past is what got my attention. So if you want me to continue being a consumer of your franchise, your media, that you won't let go of, you better meet my expectations and my response. And you have a responsibility to uphold those traditions, those values, or those expectations of what we consider fun is, because that's what we were entertained by this thing in the past. And if you're jumping into that, then you should entertain us to the same value, to the same point, because that's what brought us here. All right, so that's going to do it for this episode. Again, I'm not feeling all that great, but I am going to be on the wrestling channel later on for a live stream. So just wanted to touch base with you guys. I wanted to do this topic for a very long time, and if you guys haven't been and if you guys aren't watching this live, then please leave in the comments your thoughts. What do you feel about moving on from the past? Should we forget the past? Where do we stand with media? Please tell me about all these things. Let me know your thoughts. And yeah, the music, too loud? Yeah, nobody said anything, so I guess it's fine now. But yeah, what are your thoughts? Do you want more of a bed bond? All these things, tell me. And what content are you looking forward to from Dave Knows Comics in 2020? Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the subscribes. And as always, Dave knows.